At Christmas dinner, my grandpa slid 3 white envelopes across the table and said, "A little Christmas gift for each of you." The silverware froze midair, the clinking, the chatter, the soft hum of Christmas music. Everything stopped at once, like the room itself forgot how to breathe. Grandpa Joe's hand shook just a little, but his eyes were steady. He looked at each of us the same way he always did. Equal, gentle, hoping we'd see the gesture for what it was. Love, not power. My parents didn't even wait for him to finish talking. They exchanged a glance, a smirk, the kind people share when they think they're in on a private joke. Mom laughed too loudly, the way she does when she wants the room to think something is harmless. Dad leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms like he was watching a magic trick. He already knew the secret to Amelia didn't laugh. She didn't even smile. She quietly slid the envelope into her coat pocket like she was protecting something fragile. She whispered, "Thank you, Grandpa. The kind of thank you that actually means something." I should have noticed then that the room shifted, just a fraction but enough. The way my parents kept glancing at the envelopes like they were lottery tickets. The way Grandpa's breath caught, just for a second, before he lifted his fork again. Christmas dinner continued but the warmth didn't return. The tree lights flickered behind us, reflecting in the window like tiny warning signals. None of us realized we were sitting in the calm before a storm we couldn't reverse. The next morning, my phone rang at 9:14 a.m. A number I didn't know. "Hi, this is Martin from Crescent Bank," the man said. "Just calling to confirm. Your grandfather's deposit cleared." And just like that, the ground under all of us shifted for good. Before I tell you how that one call tore my family apart, tell me, where are you listening from? I need to know I'm not the only one who's ever watched love turn fake over something that was never about money. My parents thought that was failure. They called it humble living in public. But at home they said things like, "You're wasting your potential." Amelia never believed them. She built her own life brick by brick. An interior designer in a tiny 1-bedroom Portland apartment with scuffed hardwood floors and a window that let in just enough morning light to make the space feel honest. Her furniture was mismatched, her rent was high, her schedule was packed, but everything in her life was hers. No shortcuts, no handouts, no pretending. Her parents, Victor and Elaine, lived in a world where pretending was the whole point. Their days revolved around charity brunches with people they didn't like, new luxury cars they couldn't afford, and social ladders they climbed so aggressively you could hear the strain in every conversation. Elaine practiced her smile in the mirror before events. Victor never went anywhere without dropping the name of someone more important than him. They weren't bad people, just hollow ones, shaped by the need to be admired. And Grandpa Edmund. He was the opposite. Old school rich. Not from inheritance but from a life of sweat, busted knuckles, and a workshop that smelled like cedar and engine oil. He made his money the slow, lonely way. He invested it the smart way. And he carried it the quiet way, like a coat he never wanted anyone to comment on. People respected him. Not because he was wealthy but because he was solid. Victor and Elaine resented him for that. They depended on his generosity while insisting they didn't. They mocked his old man values but cashed every check. They wanted his approval but rolled their eyes behind his back. Amelia was the only one who understood him. She grew up in his workshop, sitting on overturned crates while he sanded down pieces of oak. "Effort lasts longer than luck," he'd say, handing her a small chisel so she could mimic his movements. She still kept the tiny wooden fox they carved together when she was 10 with him. She didn't have to perform. Didn't have to impress. Didn't have to be anyone but herself. And that terrified her parents more than they would ever admit. Have you ever been the black sheep for doing things the right way? Drop a comment. I need to know I'm not alone. Mom let out a short performative laugh. "Oh, Dad, are we doing your pretend checks again? That's cute." I wanted to crawl under the table. Christmas dinner at my parents' house always looked better than it felt. The table was set like a magazine spread. Crystal glasses polished to a blinding shine, gold-trimmed plates arranged with mathematical precision, and sprigs of pine tucked into folded napkins to make the whole dining room smell like a luxury candle. Everything was curated, staged, perfected. Everything except the people sitting at the table. Victor and Elaine moved through the room like they'd practiced it the night before. Strategic small talk, polite volume, the kind of laughter that sounded expensive but empty. They complimented each other loudly, corrected each other quietly, and checked everyone's reactions like they were measuring applause. Amelia sat at the far end, calm, observant, grounded in a way that made her look like she didn't belong to this family at all. She didn't polish her sentences. She didn't care who noticed her. She just was. Dinner had barely begun when Grandpa Edmund cleared his throat. He reached into the inside pocket of his old wool coat, still draped on the back of his chair because he never bothered with formalities, and pulled out 3 white envelopes. He slid one toward Victor, one toward Elaine, and one toward Amelia. "A little Christmas gift for each of you." The room froze. Silverware hovered midair. Even the candles seemed to stand straighter. Elaine broke the silence with that sharp little laugh. "Oh, Dad, are we doing your pretend checks again?" She nudged Victor with her elbow. "How adorable!" Victor smirked, flipping his envelope once between his fingers. "Should we act surprised this time, or just skip to the gratitude part?" They didn't open the envelopes. They didn't thank him. They didn't even look at him. Amelia, though, she reached out gently, like the envelope might bruise if she touched it too quickly. "Thank you," she said, simple and sincere, slipping it into her coat pocket without a hint of performance. Grandpa's eyes softened for just a second. His smile didn't fully disappear, but it wavered, like a flame caught in a draft. His blink was slower, his hand lingering on the tablecloth as if steadying himself. Amelia looked up. He leaned slightly toward her and whispered, just for her, "Keep it safe." That was the moment the test began. Even if none of us understood it yet, if you've ever watched someone disrespect a person you love, you know that sick feeling in your stomach. Keep listening. This gets worse before it gets better. Hours later, while I was sketching a client's living room layout, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Good afternoon, Miss Hale. Your deposit has cleared." I froze. The ride home from Christmas dinner had been silent in the way only angry families can manage. The kind of silence where the air feels thick, like everyone is holding their breath just to keep from saying the wrong thing. Victor gripped the steering wheel too tightly. Elaine scrolled through her phone, sighing dramatically every few minutes, making sure everyone knew she was upset, even though no one was talking. Every so often they would throw out another jab about Grandpa. "I can't believe he's still doing this," Elaine muttered. Victor snorted. "Checks he knows no one's going to cash. It's sad, honestly." Amelia stared out the window, hands tucked inside her sleeves, refusing to rise to the bait. She didn't defend Grandpa. She didn't argue. She didn't trust her voice not to crack if she did. By the time she reached her Portland apartment, the cold night air felt clearer than her own thoughts. She hung her coat, made tea she didn't drink, and finally sat on the edge of her bed with the envelope resting on her lap. She opened it slowly, almost reverently. Inside was a real check. Clean, crisp, and carrying 5 zeros. Her breath caught. She wasn't thinking about spending it. She wasn't thinking about what it meant. She was thinking about Grandpa's voice at dinner, the tiny waver in it, and that soft whisper. Keep it safe. Depositing it felt like respecting him, trusting him. So she did. She went back to work, pencils, swatches, color palettes, trying to push the strangeness of the night out of her mind. Then the phone rang. "Your deposit has cleared." Those 4 words rearranged the floor under her feet. But they weren't the ones that truly changed everything. 2 minutes later, her mother's name flashed on the screen. Amelia barely got out, "Hello," before the panic hit. "Did you tell him something?" Elaine's voice was high, frantic. "Our checks were stopped. Both of them. He cancelled them." "What did you say?" Amelia sat frozen, the sketch in her hand trembling. She hadn't said a word. Comment cleared. "If you just realized where this is going." Later that day, Dad called. His tone was colder. "Your mother's upset. You could have told us you'd deposited it." "It was a gift," I said. "That's what you do with gifts." The silence that followed was sharp enough to cut. Dad exhaled through his nose, the way he always did when he felt cornered but pretended he wasn't. "You know he's old, Amelia. He doesn't know what he's doing anymore. You should have waited. You should have checked with us. With him. About a gift that wasn't theirs. Amelia pressed her fingers into the bridge of her nose. It was his decision. Dad's voice tightened. Well, his decision ruined our morning. He hung up before she could respond. 5 minutes later. Her phone buzzed again. Mom this time. Not panic now. Angry. You don't understand what you've done, she snapped. He's playing favorites. He's punishing us. He always has. You encouraged this, Amelia. You made him think we don't appreciate him. Amelia almost laughed at the sheer absurdity. You mocked him at the table. That was a joke. A cruel one, Amelia said quietly. The line went dead for 20 minutes. Her phone vibrated non-stop. The family group chat lit up like a house fire. Texts from Mom, from Dad, from her aunt and cousin who weren't even there. Blame ping-ponging across the screen. He's confused. He's being manipulated. Amelia should have asked first. Why would she cash it? There goes Christmas. This is exactly what he dubbed denial, excuses, rewriting history in real time. Then, one notification that didn't match the chaos. Grandpa Edmund calling. Amelia answered immediately. Hi, Grandpa. His voice was calm. Steady. Almost amused. Just checking to make sure you received your money. I did, she whispered. Thank you. Soft chuckle. Don't thank me yet. She frowned. What does that mean? Some lessons, he said, take longer to learn. Especially for people who think they already know everything. A beat of silence hung between them. Heavy, intentional. He wasn't confused. He wasn't forgetful. He wasn't manipulated. He knew exactly what he was doing. After they hung up, another message dinged. A formal, strangely polite text from her parents. Dinner. Tomorrow night. Mandatory. No explanation. No apology. Just an unspoken urgency. Amelia stared at the message, feeling the cold realization settle in her chest. He's already called them out. And tomorrow. The second half of the test would begin. Who else thinks Grandpa is a legend? This next part is everything. Cruel would be letting you keep thinking respect is optional. Mom's voice wavered. We didn't mean anything by it. We were just joking. The second dinner didn't feel like Christmas. It felt like a courtroom. The air was thick the moment Amelia walked in. No pine scent, no soft music, no polite chatter. Just tension. Heavy enough to taste. Her parents sat stiffly at the table, whispering furiously before snapping into fake smiles when she appeared. But the performance didn't last long, because a minute later, Grandpa Edmund walked in. He wasn't wearing his usual soft smile or joking about traffic or commenting on the weather. He carried a slim leather folder under his arm. Dark brown, old, familiar. The same one he used to store important things. Documents, deeds, decisions that shaped futures. He placed it on the table. No one breathed. Let's get to it, he said simply. Victor tried to laugh. Came out thin. Dad, can we not make this dramatic? Grandpa opened the folder. Bank statements. Crisp papers. A list of transactions. I stopped your checks. Silence detonated like a bomb. Elaine blinked rapidly, hands shaking. Oh, our checks. Both of them. Why would you, Dad? We depend on those. You know that. Victor sat up straighter, jaw clenching. This is unnecessary. This is cruel. Grandpa's gaze was steady. Cruel, he repeated softly. Cruel would be letting you keep thinking respect is optional. They went still. That he lifted the top paper. I gave each of you the same gift. Same envelope. Same amount. And you? He pointed to them calmly, factually. Laughed. Elaine's eyes filled with quick, shiny tears, the kind that weren't sadness but fear. We didn't mean anything by it. We were just joking, Grandpa finished for her. Yes, I heard. Victor shook his head. You're overreacting. You've misinterpreted. Grandpa cut him off with a look that carried decades of sacrifice, discipline, and self-made dignity. You laughed at me. You laughed at the years that built it. You laughed at money you didn't earn. And you expected me to pretend I didn't hear. Neither parent spoke, but he turned to Amelia. And she, he said, voice softening, treated it like what it was. Gesture. Memory. A trust. Victor scoffed. So you're rewarding her for doing nothing? Grandpa stood a little taller, tired but unbreakable. She did everything. She listened. She respected. She didn't laugh. The room felt suddenly too small, too loud in its silence. He pulled out the final document. Thicker paper, embossed seal, unmistakably legal. I'm transferring everything to Amelia. Elaine gasped, hand flying to her mouth. Dad, you can't. I can, he said, and I did. Victor slammed his palm against the table. This is insane. We're your children. Grandpa didn't flinch. Children grow up. Some grow selfish. Some grow grateful. Now I know which is which. The verdict landed with the force of a hammer. Victor stood. Elaine followed, tears streaking her carefully painted face. Neither said goodbye. Neither looked at Amelia. They stormed out, the front door rattling behind them. When the echoes faded, Grandpa exhaled, relieved, resolved, unshaken that if this gave you chills, share it. Some people need to see this. You didn't cash it for the money, did you? I shook my head. No. I just didn't want to disrespect you. He nodded, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. That's what I thought. After Amelia's parents stormed out, the house fell into a deep, almost sacred quiet. No shouting. No accusations. No performances. Just the soft clink of dishes as Grandpa set out 2 bowls of leftover stew. They ate at the same table where the storm had just taken place, but now the room felt different. Lighter, honest, finally real. Grandpa stirred his soup slowly. I don't care who has money, he said. Never have. I care who has manners. Amelia looked up, and he slid a small folded note across the table. Gentler, more meaningful than the envelopes from Christmas dinner. She opened it. Money changes hands every day. Respect only once. Her chest tightened. She folded the note carefully and tucked it into her coat pocket, the same way she had with the envelope days before. The next morning, she met with lawyer Daniel Kerr, a soft-spoken man with wire-rimmed glasses and the patience of someone who'd handled too many messy families. He explained the trust transfer, the accounts, the responsibilities, the weight of what Grandpa had done. This isn't a reward, Daniel said. It's a responsibility. He chose you because you understand the difference. On her drive home, her phone buzzed, a single text from her mother. Hope you're happy. Amelia read it once, then turned her phone face down on the passenger seat. She didn't respond. Later that week, she visited Grandpa again. No drama. No documents. Just 2 people sitting in his backyard garden, talking about her latest design project, the tomatoes he was trying to keep alive through winter, and the odd calm that settles after truth finally lands. He leaned back in his chair, sunlight catching the lines in his face. A check, he said, is just paper until you decide what it's worth. Amelia smiled, realizing he wasn't talking about money at all. He was talking about values, about choices, about the rare courage it takes to stand on the side of respect when everyone else chooses comfort. Type respect. If you understand what Grandpa was really teaching. They thought the check was fake. But the only thing fake that night was their love, and in the weeks that followed, Amelia felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not victory. Not triumph. Just the quiet relief of no longer fighting to earn what should have been freely given. She stopped checking her phone for her parents' texts. Stopped replaying old conversations. Stopped wondering what she could do to make them see her. She didn't win anything. She simply stopped losing herself. Every day on her way to work, she passed the bank where the deposit cleared. It became a strange kind of reminder, not of money, but of that moment she chose respect over fear. A tiny landmark on her map of becoming. She realized something her parents never understood. Fake check hurts your pride. But fake love, that hurts your soul. The true cost wasn't the money. It was the disrespect, laughter, the casual way they dismissed a man who had built everything they leaned on. Some lessons don't come wrapped in gifts. They come disguised as heartbreak. Sharp, sudden, impossible to ignore. And from that heartbreak, Amelia found something priceless: her worth, not measured in zeros. Not dependent on approval. Not defined by anyone else's entitlement. Just hers. If you've ever learned what respect really costs, share this story and tell me, what would you have done in my place? Have you ever had to choose between family expectations and your own values? Let me know in the comments. And if this story hit home, share it with someone who needs to hear it.